Angelo and Christina are going to sync up together. So please share your contact details. And after this call, there's some requirements that we need from you as well, so we can get your name on the board here. For those of you who have just joined the call, if you can, please kindly keep your microphone on mute unless you're called to speak. That'd be very helpful, so we can reduce background noise and facilitate the call smoothly. If you can, Dane, please mute everybody.
Find out where those are at.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right. Next up, so there's still an additional third slot for both North America as well as South America. So we'll move on from that. At least we've identified a host and a co-host for now, but we'll work out later on if anybody else that's listening to this after this call today, if you'd like to join, go ahead and send us your information. So I'm going to move to the next slide. For the EMEA call out, EMEA would be Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I guess maybe part of Russia, because they're over there as well. So if you're in this region and you would like to be one of the call leaders, oh shoot, I'm going too fast. Could you let us know if you're...
Sorry, there's Krista that has also volunteered. I don't know if you have noticed her offer in the chat.
Who?
Krista.
Krista.
Yes.
Okay. So Krista would like to be a volunteer regional leader or co-host for North America. Krista, are you there? I'll go back to North America.
Yes, I am. I'm definitely here.
Hi, Krista. Let me put your name on the board here as one of the North. Where are you from, Krista?
I'm from the North Bay.
North Bay. There's a lot of bays in the United States, like North Bay, California.
Yeah. Did you see my? So I sent 3 chats. Are they not coming to you?
I'm not sure. I like scanned this thing so fast. I'm sorry.
Well, mine was just before Joy's, right after you said there was no volunteers. Was anybody volunteering? I was in the midst of sending it, and then somehow it just got skipped over. And now we're on to a different region. So I just wasn't sure if they were coming through or.
Well, mine says there are 82 new chats or new messages on mine. So there's a lot, yeah.
My Krista, my bad. I'm sorry. I was just really going over it as fast as I could. So I'm sorry. I apologize about that. But you're from the North Bay, so that's like Vallejo, Santa Rosa area.
Yeah, I'm actually from I'm Santa Rosa, California. So Bay Area. You know, I'm just a little skip and a jump from San Francisco, just a little bit south of Mendocino. So there's several people like Alan, and there's Rebecca. There's West Coast Megan Edwards, several of those folks that are in this area, and that's where I am. There's a definite group of folks that are kind of in the area. It'd be wonderful if we came together a bit more. According to the COEO, the website, that you can kind of put your location. And then through this and also the 11 o'clock meeting, several people have come forward from the area. So it's kind of an exciting, I'm thrilled to be here and looking forward to collaborating with, like minds. So just a quick synopsis in my desire to do, to help. I'm open, I can do some leadership, I can do some hosting, I can do research. I have a degree in that background, and I also am have decades as an event planner. So I've always knew there was something deeper and bigger for me, and I've, through school or through whatever you try to find it, and it's been really clicking with these emails of this leadership position, or just moving forward in kind of streamlining everything that we're trying to do here. My heart's just been feeling really full with that realization that everything that I've been doing my whole life has led up to this platform. So I'm very I'm feeling very kind of tuned in and lined up in this. So whatever I can do to be of assist, I am all on board 100%. And just let me know what can be best of use with my time and energy.
Wonderful.
Hi, this is Joy. Can you hear me still?
Yep, Joy, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Hi, I just want to say hello, Krista. And
Hi, Joy.
wow, you get me so excited hearing the passion in your voice. Is there any rule against us having a couple of co-hosts?
No. There's we were thinking 3 is the magic number. So
Yeah, well, yes, it is indeed. That sounds great to me, Krista. Wow, let's do this.
So
I'm on board.
Crystal, Danielle from Canada, as well as Joy from the US. So great, we formed up our North American volunteers. We still have another slot for the South American position.
Can we agree on a day while we're all 3 here together that works?
Sure, you guys can collaborate. I'll leave the floor to you, ladies.
Yeah, Krista and Danielle, does Sundays work? I think Sundays are great, especially around noon. People are waking up and getting busy, but not quite out the door unless they're...
Sunday at noon is perfect for me.
It's fine with me also.
Is that noon Pacific, or would
Yes.
that be... Okay, noon Pacific.
Yes.
Great.
Oh, Pacific, we're 3 hours after. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it'll be 9 Eastern, noon Pacific.
No, actually, it would be 3 Eastern.
3.
3 ahead. Oh, wow, I'm sending myself back in time. Yeah, 3 ahead.
That would be
Sorry.
actually 3 and it'd be 9.
It'll be 3 Eastern, noon Pacific.
So maybe what we can do is, would you mind sending me, Joy and Danielle, would you send me the email and I'll go ahead and lock that in, and then we can collaborate after the meeting perhaps, or at some point in the near future?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll pop my email in the chat. Thanks for the floor, guys. This is exciting.
Thank you. It is.
Welcome. And it's great to see the sisterhood forming between all 3 of you. Wonderful energy that I can feel coming from the North America volunteers. Thank you for taking the mantle on. Okay, so moving forward, we want to call out the Europe, Middle East, and Africa regional call leaders. If I don't see it in the chat room, are there any people in this group today that can volunteer for the roles of co-host and host, or host rather? Is there anybody from the EMEA region today on the call? If there's not, it's okay. We'll allow those who hear the PFC. It's probably maybe 2, I don't know what time it is in Europe right now. Let's check. It's 6:12 p.m. in London. So maybe it's like 7 in Paris and maybe about 9 in Moscow. So maybe they're all busy on their Saturday night doing stuff. Oh, so we have Dietmar. Dietmar, can you hear us? Or are you? It's 7 p.m.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How do I say your name? Did I get it right? Dietmar?
Oh, you got close to it, yes. Dietmar, that's it.
Dietmar, okay. Nice to meet you. Are you willing to step up and volunteer to do this for the EMEA region?
Well, my problem is that I've been following this for a long time now, but I don't know where I'm going to end up, let's say, in a month from now, okay? Because I'm working here and there and just moving around quite a lot. I'm not stable here.
I understand.
Yeah. We have an overlap, a language overlap. We have talked about having the regional meetings, the global regional meetings, these 5 meetings we're organizing now, all in English, because almost everybody that is able to participate in these meetings is speaking English. And the people, and a lot of this activity is going to be in English. And so at the regional level, we need to have people who can communicate from the global level to their region. So they need to be obviously able to go down to the national level. And we have in South America, we have about half of it is Portuguese speaking, and the other half is Spanish speaking. And then we have a Portuguese group in Europe, and their time frame is about 5 to 6 hours apart, because most of Brazil 5 hours. And
Well, where I can help you with this, I'm speaking German, Italian, and a little bit of Spanish.
mm-hmm.
So if that helps, I can help you with that.
Okay.
Well, yes, translation is needed, as well as having a call that's localized in a language. We don't know what language is going to work for IMEA just yet, because there are many spoken languages. There's probably going to be Arabic is one of them. Obviously, there might be a larger French-speaking community. So, or there might be even a Deutsch-speaking community in the EMEA region. We don't know from a PFC. I don't know from a PFC standpoint which one.
Jeff,
yeah,
if I may contribute something,
Sure.
may be regional English, and if you go subdivide into the countries, then they'll divide into the different languages of the countries.
Right. See, we're going to the regionals that we're setting up now need to be conversant in English, but the next level down is all local languages. It's all nations, and nations have their own languages, and so we need to gather at the regional level. We need to gather people to join into those meetings who can take responsibility for their nations, or for nations, and speak the languages. So it from the next step down is much more of a complex deal. And for the most part, we're not talking about nations as much as we are languages, because we're just not going to be able to go and identify, people for every nation. I mean, the region includes Europe and Africa. There's a lot of languages, and so
yeah, English
a lot
would be
more nations than there are languages. So.
right.
We should be, really trying to gather people who speak various languages into these regional meetings, and having them assume responsibility for, stimulating leadership in these nations. Because after the nations, we're going, we're really trying to localize this so people can they can host meetings, they can create their own email lists, they can send them out to a couple of hundred people and get message. I mean, this message goes out to 12,000 people. We're not expecting these lower lists to include thousands. I mean, if we get the right mailing list and right people involved, then it could. But initially, asking the leaders who sign up in the regions for regional leaderships.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, who is that?
So just a quick reminder. Sorry, Dana, interrupt you. Thank you for that. If we can remind everyone to put their microphone on mute. We've got some background noise coming in. And just so that we keep the call clear, please keep your microphone on mute unless you're speaking.
Right.
Everyone day.
I'm just going through here trying to mute things. Causing creating.
I think it's Jitma. He left his microphone on. So okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have we have some volunteers, but they're for national level. We have some willing, but for the EMEA region, Benjamin would like to be a co-host. Benjamin, are you there? Can you hear us? Could you unmute yourself, Benjamin? And hi, Benjamin. You there? Benjamin, you there?
Okay, Benjamin. I'm unmuting him.
Okay. Benjamin, can you say something? Okay, maybe he just wants to chat. But for now, he said yes.
I can't unmute him.
You can unmute him.
No. Maybe he doesn't have his mic on. I don't know.
Okay. So we'll put Benjamin from Portugal as a co-host. Thank you all for helping me in the chat room. It's really great that everyone's very active and helping drive our conversation. You guys are wonderful. Okay. Thank you, Nora. Appreciate your feedback. But anyone else for the EMEA call out? We'll close this off in a few more seconds. Anybody else other than Benjamin from Portugal? Okay.
Dan? Sorry?
Gertrude?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I have chat in a chat call with Mayo, and we would like to help in Germany.
You'd like to help?
He's IT specialist and I'm physician, but I'm not good in networking and I cannot work good with computer and my English is not so good, but we can, in the regional position, we can do a lot, I think.
So Gertrude, if you'd like to, I can put Majo as the host and you as the co-host. Is that okay?
Mayo and I would be co-host. That's the problem.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a little bit difficult because I try to do what I can, but as a host, I think I should have the skills for networking, and I don't have that. Because I can mail, I can do the chat rooms, I can, but I cannot put links, and I can go into, I can mail, I can do a lot, but not what is.
Okay, so you want to be a team member in this deal for Germany.
But Mayo can do that, yeah. And he has no video, but if we work together, I think we can do that, yes?
Okay.
Gertrude, we have a spin-off group in Germany since 2014 called Transinformation. Are you familiar with that website?
In Germany?
Yeah.
You have a spin-up group? Okay.
The site is called Transinformation.
Yes, I know that. I read it every day. I know that. And I was in I was a Tagieta in Switzerland. I was in a Tachyon chamber. I know that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You should try to involve people via that website. Either however you can get the message out on that website, because that's where most of the people in Germany who
yes.
are that's another the Chinese, the Germans, Hungarians. They all when we had our issues back in 2013, they all carried the ball for themselves, and have done great. And so, I would suggest trying to be the eyes and ears for this meeting or for the forums with Transinformation, and because there's
there are some groups I know that I try to contact, but yeah.
They converge there. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So, great news, Dane. I was speaking with Mayo in the chat. His name is Marcus. Mm-hmm. And he's telling me that he would he wouldn't mind being the host. So we have Mark, Mayo, Benjamin, and Gertrude. English or German is fine. So I'll open up the floor to you three if you guys want to coordinate on the preferred day and time, or you can, if you can email each other and come back to us, Dane and I, on when you prefer which day and at what time you prefer to have the EMEA regional call. Because in the chat, Mayo just said the time would be to be fine. Okay, thank you, Mayo. That's perfect. I saw your note in the chat. You'll come back to us both as soon as possible. Great. So EMEA's volunteers, everyone in your mental minds, give everybody a round of applause. We have EMEA, North America and South America forming up. And I'm going to move away from China. But China was a slide that I put in here. Who are these people? I know Anthem Cheng is probably one of them. He's from Taiwan. And Taiwan and China probably have their own calls and they do their own thing. And I don't know who these people are.
From China. One is Taiwan, obviously, and the other one is mainland China. And
right.
We have an activist that we're working with who has 20,000 people in chat rooms related to PFC topics in mainland China. And I will try to engage her to sort of interface with our projects because she knows all the ins and outs of getting, the PFC message in China, because they can't participate in these calls on Zoom.
Yeah, so. Yeah. They actually have a firewall there, Dane. They call it the Great Firewall of China. I've actually been there. Yeah, no, I've actually been there. I'm trying to get onto Facebook and YouTube, and it's not possible. It's weird. So, but yeah, they have their own Great Firewall of China. Believe it or not. I speak Mandarin, believe it or not, but I don't speak it well enough to host a call. So I speak, read, and write Mandarin, but I don't speak it well enough to convert properly to do that. But I'm sure they're doing their own thing in China. But I wanted to recognize them in this call because I believe that from what I've been reading in PFC as well as CEOC and as well as the other information streams that I'm getting, that China is a very big part of the Prepare for Change and like working movement leading up to the event. So hats off to you guys out there in China. If you get this call, thank you so much. Xie xie. If you guys ever get to hear this call back, do give Dane and I a shout out if you can, send us an email. So yeah, they probably have their own thing going. Not sure. Thank you for clarifying. So let's move to the APAC regional leaders. Sweta was the first one to call herself out. Okay. So APAC would be, apart from China, this would be the Asia Pacific. This would include Japan and Korea. Japan and Korea might have their own thing too. I don't think a lot of Japanese or Korean people speak English to host a call. They might do their own nation call as well, and there are a lot of them as well. But for the rest of APAC, which would include Australia, the ASEAN members, India, regionally, they all speak English across that, and also would include Singapore and where I'm at in the Philippines. I don't wish to be an APAC regional leader. I'd like to be an audience member. I'd prefer that there would be a group of members who can. Now, just a caveat, you can be from another region and participate as a regional leader in these calls. You just have to make time to do it. Like I'm in Manila right now. It's 2:30 a.m. And I'm doing the worldwide calls because I feel guided and called to do it. But if you also feel guided and called, this is the last region on our list that we're looking for leaders for. Oh, thank you, Victoria. I appreciate the greetings and help there. Thank you so much. Anybody willing to do the APAC call? Sweta, are you still there?
Yes. Hello, Jed. I'm here.
Hi, Sweta.
Hi, hi. Yes, I am. I want to host. I don't know anybody from India is still know this, but I want to host and volunteer as a leader because this is very necessary. And of course, in the we have to start from the level zero. You know, if the event happens, and we have to start like doing our job. I mean, to help
Yeah.
all of us. So we have. If I begin to start hosting, then I don't know. I will in Hindi or English. I maybe I wish people will cover
Let's
and
let's
yes,
keep it to
yes.
English in the chat call.
Okay.
People from like Singapore, Malaysia.
Yes, yes. I will.
Yeah.
I will.
I don't think
I will.
anybody else from APAC would be on this call except myself because it is 2:30. But I'll ask some of the PFC Philippines team to see if anybody would like to co-host with you.
Oh,
Or
please.
maybe
Thank
somebody
you.
from Singapore or Malaysia would be, or even Indonesia would be willing to join. So hopefully after Jane sends out this newsletter, somebody hears this message from the recording, and we'll send Jane and I an email. I believe, Jane, we had somebody from Indonesia send us an email, and he wanted to do this, right, Jane?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was just a timing issue to get him to meet with us. We normally meet at 9 a.m. Pacific, but he wanted to meet 9 to 5 anytime in Singapore time. So that would have been a challenge. Anyway.
Yeah, well,
so thank you.
Yes, thank you. Well, the time will be adjusted if we come along together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Jed, the time will be adjusted, you know, according, because this work has to be done. So the time will be adjusted if we are coming along together. You know?
Yeah, Shweta can, for one of the things that can happen is that I can actually facilitate these meetings with our accounts so that they're not localized because there's a different time zone. I mean, you know, this account is set up for 200 people, and but we're using a time slot that wouldn't be appropriate for, you know, where Shweta's at. And I could easily set up a meeting, a recurring meeting on this account for that area. You know, this is the thing, is that we have different time slots, and I can facilitate using the PFC account for these meetings.
Oh, that will be great, Dane. That will be great. We will be here. I will be here. I will be present.
Yeah, all you
Thank you, Dane.
Just log in.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think.
Thank you, Dane. Thank you, Jed. Thank you.
You're welcome, Shweta. Thank you, darling.
Namaste.
Namaste. So what we'll do, Dane, is maybe Angelo and I will set up maybe a call in the next 48 hours on, or maybe, I don't know, maybe later next week on how to use Zoom and for the regional leaders, how to get that started and do presenter mode so that everybody's in these calls that are trained on how to utilize the tools and functions for Zoom and anything else.
Well, we can record that, and it can be available. I'm going to set up a page on PFC for the leadership forum. I'll put it under the leadership tab on our website, and then we can put resources on there. I'll make it the first one or the second one under the tab, and you know, we should make it easy for everybody to get these resources. And if you do have this meeting or when you have this meeting, we can record it as a Zoom. We can turn it into I can upload it to the PFC account on YouTube, and it can be available from our website. Anyway, yeah, these are aspects of doing this one thing.
Yep. Angelo, if you can hear me, my ask is that If you want to do a recording, like a desktop recording, please help me because my internet in the Philippines is not the greatest.
No problem, Jeff.
That'd be great. I can do it together with you if you want to have a virtual call, and you can record your screen and upload that into a repository so that we could share for all, so that the regional leaders have it, and then maybe you can localize it in a language so that others can understand as well. Just a suggestion. Okay. So that's about it, Jane, from my side. The only things that I wanted to, allow for the next part of this meeting is if you wanted to do a continued discussion on Event Watch, I'll let you drive that. But I'll bring the floor back over to you, Dane, and to any of the members here who want to speak up.
What we want to do now is sort of discuss some of the questions that have been asked. Everybody I think is watching via the internet what's happening. They're within the community that is concerned about the reset. There's kind of a general discussion that the next step is actually to release the money to the average Joe. And so basically, we're on the threshold. This could take a while because we know that the deep state, which is now the current term that means cabal, is trying to create, basically World War III. They want to derail what we're doing. The positive things are happening, and that's their best bet. Their main idea apparently is to attack Iran, and that's not going to be permitted. But until their loose cannons can be bolted to the deck, so to speak, there's a concern. And so I think we're really at the close approaching it. And so anybody wants to talk about that, we can talk about that. I think most of us have already probably read everything I've read and probably know what we're talking about. It might be better to focus on answering questions in the chat related to some things. I know that one of our members was saying, how come the cabal is not messing with us? Because we're talking about this.
They're messing with me, Dane. My work was so hectic this week, and low energy and all this stuff. Before I got on this call, I literally had to peel myself out of bed to get on this call. But trust me.
Well, thank you for doing that.
I can answer to that what you mentioned, Dane, and also the Canadians have provided protection some time ago, but it was taken down. I have been able to record that, and I can provide it to the group. So it's a statement that you mentioned that will protect you from these attacks.
Yeah. Other interesting factors that have come up in the last week is James Gilliland. I don't know if you all know who he is, but he's one of my favorite light workers, a really true bright light for everyone. And he has communicated that the council, which is all of these groups that are involved, the ET groups that are involved with trying to liberate humanity, have basically assigned the Pleiadians the responsibility of doing that. And as you must all know, the resistance movement is a Pleiadian group. So what we're doing is directly related to the Pleiadian effort. Cobra is directly related to it. And now that group has been basically assigned the overall responsibility. And I think what we're seeing now is now that this administrative issue has been resolved, we're seeing a direct intervention with the ships, and they're not going to be allowed to use their space weapons. Their space weapons are being taken out. A lot of their facilities they've put in low orbital space. are being disabled. Recently, we've been getting on the news here in the U.S. People seeing fireballs, falling out of the sky, and they're very bright and they're rainbowed. So they're not, just a piece of rock. They're technology that is burning up, because you can see the different elements are burning out at the same time, and so we know that something's up, literally, and how this is going to play out. But I do think that the push is on to do it as soon as possible. Waiting for a long time and leaving these people free to make mischief is just not really acceptable anymore. They've really overstayed their welcome, and they, like the event in Las Vegas, how many innocent people will be hurt by letting them run free? And so I think the push is on right now, and the Pleiadians have stepped up, and we're seeing them taking out the cabal technology. Most of it is run by the military-industrial complex, the Air Force people in the U.S. That's a long story, but they're the ones who've been like in the Santa Rosa fires, which I'm sure that Krista would be able to talk about. They used space-based weaponry to basically fire down
people.
Yeah. And they also have EMP capabilities and that same kind of weaponry. So they are being removed directly because they have demonstrated a malevolent intent, and they don't have any protection of any pretense of being uninvolved or having good intentions. So
Alan actually said that there were accelerants used in the Santa Rosa fires, meaning that they premeditated this whole script, and they're trying to run their script, right, Dane? They want to follow their playbook to tilt the event back into, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if any of you have ever operated a business and had that business fail, and been faced with having to make the hard decision about closing it, you probably know that when you the first moment that your personnel know that you're closing, things start to disappear rapidly.
Yeah. I've tried to start businesses out here too, Dane, and lost so much money and time.
Yeah. So this is an issue for the cabal. They're not going to let their underlings, their script keepers, so to speak, think that they're giving up. Because the things that they would take from them. Okay, and they don't want that to happen. They don't want to have a mutiny at this moment, and so the people at the lower levels are being told that it's like Hillary Clinton. They're blaming the Russians or something and not taking responsibility for their own failures. And they're going to try to make it seem to all of these people who are out there doing malevolent actions that they're actually winning, and that they're going to follow through. And so they're going to be active until the very last moment, acting as though they still have a chance. And it's unfortunate, but innocent people are being threatened because we're not closing this deal. And so I think the Pleiadians are going to step up and finish up. And so,
couple questions coming into the chat, Dane. One of them is, since you mentioned the lower levels, was a question about are the, I think, paladins or Pleiadians that are depicted as nomadic beings, are they the same ones that are in inner Earth? Are they benevolent or not? Do you have any intel on that?
Well, the Pleiadians are a population of humans that have a deep commitment to Earth. It was a Pleiadian group that was tasked by the Empire, so to speak, with terraforming Earth and returning it to what it is today. This planet was devastated in galactic wars, and it had to be terraformed back to habitable condition. And so the Pleiadians are quite involved. I am formerly a Pleiadian myself. I think many people on this call are. And I've been on the planet for 3,000 years as a human. It was my decision at that time to start incarnating here. I basically wanted to know, what humans are like, because take my word for it, most Pleiadians do not understand human emotions. They just don't. That is something that they are very intellectual, very kind of cut and dried kind of mentality, and human emotions are something that they don't really get, and they're trying. They're very sincere people, and the reason that I really basically quit was we were on Earth just doing our basic the observation thing like they're still doing. And I was witnessing a tremendous amount of basically child sacrifice, this whole thing. It was a cult of Baal in the Middle East at that time, same as it is here today. It's the same group, same beliefs, same exact thing. And they were the public, they were managing communities, and they were insisting that everybody sacrifice their firstborn. And it was the most fine thing. And I basically, demanded that we intervene, that we do something, and they wouldn't. So it's the way it works. The non-intervention is a huge aspect of being on Earth as an ET. You don't interfere. You don't do your own thing. I couldn't handle it until I started incarnating here, because I knew that this day would come, and that you couldn't really contribute if you didn't really understand humanity. And the best way to do that is to be a human. It's a lot of learning right there. So I think we're going to see a lot of action now. That the Pleiadians are quite involved. People talk about Enki, but Enki was in the Pleiades, and he brought a Pleiadian team to do the terraforming on Earth. Okay, so that was part of the Empire, but the Empire, of course, covers vast areas of the galaxy, and so people like Enki were here, but had brought their people from the Pleiades, and so the people from Pleiades are going to step up and do this now, and we're going to see this stuff falling out of the sky. There's going to be debris coming down and bright fireballs, and there's a limited amount up there, but it's coming down, and we're going to see some big improvements fairly rapidly, because the cabal is depending on these wild cards they've developed to maintain control. And I think that the Santa Rosa fires is basically a shot across the bow of them announcing that they were serious, and they were going to take care of business, and you don't get in their way. But now that kind of weaponry is going to be showing up as a bright fireball in the night, and so it's a limited. There's just basically not going to be long before they completely lose their power to interrupt the liberation of the planet. Oh, back to you, Jed.
Great intel on that, Dan. It's funny you mentioned that you're a reincarnated Pleiadian here on Earth and now in human form. One of the questions that one of our group chat raised was, how do you know where you originated from? Me personally, I found out through a Reiki healing session, and from two other light workers who helped validate what I found, guided through my own inner meditations. It might be a different process for you.
It's the same process. You get confirmation from other people, and you get confirmation from your own inner exploration.
Yeah, the inner exploration part is the first. It feels weird. It's like you get your feet wet into something that when you're meditating, you like, why am I part of this soul group? Why do I hear these people calling me? At first, I thought it was weird that I thought they were kind of annoying at first. This alien soul group kind of telling me what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. I'm like,
But I got an actual voice, audio. You know, I don't get auditory. I'm not clairaudient. Clairvoyance is one thing, but I'm visual. I don't get sound, basically. I did at one time get a sound. I mean, it was a voice clear as it could be, telling me, you know, about a past life I'd had. And it was only then that I actually engaged this whole idea of if I was there, what was I doing there, and where did I come from, and all that, and it all unfolded. And I think that's what people have to accept. Most people in our culture are trained to regard imagination as untrue, just BS, and it's for most people, imagination is only partly just dreaming or made up stuff. And most of the time, if you're doing that, you have to work at it. It's like writing a book. You know, you have to choose elements, decide why, all that. You know, imagination works like that. But when you get just a stream of experience and just things just seem to unfold in front of you, you know, you have to trust that that's coming from your soul, from your the deeper part of your being. And you have to be able to separate those two. I mean, you know, there is imagination, but when it just seems to emerge from nowhere without provocation, you know, that's your soul speaking to you. And, you know, it's something I
practice to get there. And I think, you know, the key thing is if you're starting off and trying to get into your connecting with your soul level, in that sense, it takes some discernment, and you know, getting that correct philosophy on perspective is really what's the key to unlocking, to hearing what is noise versus what your soul might be saying to you. And I think that's a very important thing that you know, we light workers need to have, is those tools to do that, right?
Well, I think one of the things that people have to realize is that if you have this impression, and then you know, a month, 2 months, a year goes by, and you have the same impression, but it gets bigger and has details, you know, that's not your imagination. That is you connecting to that source within yourself and having it, you know, and having the connection improve as time goes on. And so if you have impressions, and then later on, the ones that are true will still be there, and the ones that weren't true, well, you don't even remember what they were. You know, you might have you know, 20 things come into your mind, and then later on you'll remember 2 or 3 of them. It's those 2 or 3 that are the important ones. So.
I wanted to open the floor, Dane, to those who are to anybody who wants to kind of talk about you know, on that note, where their inner soul has led them to, you know, call out something to the PFC group on a guided topic. Is anybody here that is on the call today from a PFC standpoint? Do they feel?
Yes, I do feel what you and Dane just talked about. It's very much part of my life, in the sense, and I'll go deeper in the sense that if you have a feeling that you follow, and the more you follow that feeling, the better your life experience is going to be. I call it following your path of highest excitement. The minute you steer away from it, things happen that you wouldn't like, but it's meditating helps you recognize that. And that, in a sense, when you're facilitating the meetings, as a facilitator, the best job you can do is being a listener. You have to be very sharp at listening, not only auditory listening, but also visual and feeling-wise. And feel, in a sense, connect with the other people in the meeting, and then respond in a way that streamlines or facilitates the meeting to the best possible meeting. That's just like sitting floating in a water, in the ocean, on the water, and then just listening to the water, and connect with the water and connect with everything around you. And the more you connect, the more you come into knowing, and the more you are able to get the guidance that you need. I am particular, not, for instance, auditory empathic, but knowingly empathic. So you may be familiar with this, Jet, as a programmer, as a computer scientist.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm programming, I try to solve the problem I'm working on at the moment, and it doesn't get anywhere. I just take a break or go to sleep, and the problem pops up. And I've been able to develop that intentionally, and since I'm aware of it, and intentionally I use it in my daily life. So I have been able also to experiment I've been doing a lot of interventions in the sense of helping groups, communities in furthering development. And one of the,
sorry, can you please keep your microphone on mute to let others speak if you're, thank you.
And if you are doing that, the more you listen to yourself, through yourself, listen to other people, the more you feel when you can respond, or when you can take a move, or be guided to guide the whole community, and so forth. I have experienced that a lot of times, and I think that's part of my life's purpose here at this moment. I am also a starseed. I'm also I'm actually an Andromedan descendant, and that's my purpose is to help people, or guide people, or be there to guide them. I mentioned before, people, if they are in their process, in their life's process, you shouldn't interfere. Like the Pleiadians also, they have waited a long time not to interfere. They have waited for us to say, we want help. We want to get out of this. And the minute, and we did that, we stated that we want to get out. So that's why they are more physically involved, and they're more, and the galactic light forces are also giving them the authority to do that at this time, because we expressed that. And now is the time to step up. You stepped up when there was no leader for guiding the initial meeting we had a couple of weeks ago. And it's time for us all to step up within our own purpose, within our own capacity. Each individual has a unique value to contribute to the totality. If you haven't found it yet, it's going to be clear the next couple of days or months to come. But we each have something to do. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, Angela. It's just the point that you make is so succinct, that when you awaken to the light and you start to develop it on your own, you come to see this really clear, big picture. And you understand why you're here, what you're supposed to do when you're here. And even if you don't want to do it, something just yanks you to get you to do it, you know? And no matter how you try to circle around.
Can't do anything else.
It's been yanking.
Yeah, you can't do anything else.
It's been yanking. It's been yanking. So it's time to step up.
Yeah. Yep. And this platform, you know, what we're doing, and tell me what you guys think, and anybody, you know, finally we've come to a point in humanity where we're able to actually gather worldwide to talk about these concepts. If you were to go back ago, to think about this would be unthinkable. A bunch of crazy people getting together, having an actual platform to speak on these topics, would maybe it would have done in a board chat room, but not like this. So it's definitely evolved to the point where we can form a and take action, not just as individuals, but holistically. And I think the being united in that front, from, say, whether you're an Andromedan or Pleiadian, or like me, I'm just an indigo soul. It doesn't matter right now. What matters is what you're going to be doing with that light and how you're going to work with it.
Indeed, where you come from doesn't matter. It's what you intend to do, what your intention is, what you're being the light that is needed right now. That's where we are. What we are doing. One of the things I forgot to mention earlier is that it doesn't matter. Like you mentioned, actually, it doesn't matter. It's that feeling. You need to follow it. Sometimes it might guide you in a direction that your mental, the logic tells you no, but at the moment you get to that point where you need to be, where it's guiding you to, you will see a different perspective. You will have a different perspective, and the possibilities will open up for you. I'll tell you a story because it's a way to give you a sense of what it is. A couple of years ago, like any one of us, we go through a process of awakening. And like any one of us, I did that too. I was called, I was pushed to do things. For instance, go to the US, go to follow a course that would give me a different perspective. And I didn't have the money for it. I had friends that helped me, but they didn't. But they helped me. I did my best to get the money to take the flight. I didn't have the money for the hotel or the course itself. The course is about $7,500. If I tell anybody else outside of this group, I guess, and also tell my parents or anybody else, they would say how crazy you are to take that step, to be so irresponsible. But in doing that, every time I came up to the flight. The flight went very well. I came up to the hotel. The hotel was arranged. I came up to the payment of the course that was arranged. I didn't have to. I am a person that likes to plan, but in this case, the plan didn't work. But it's about pushing through with faith and believing in what you're doing. And the minute you don't believe in it, you drop and you fail. It's like being on the cutting edge of believing that it's possible. And the second you don't believe in yourself, it drops. That's where we are today. We all need to believe in what we know that is the truth, and we just need to forge ahead. And together we can do it.
Make a great point.
Together it's going to be easier. Let me say it that way. Together it's going to be easier.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. We have to do it together. So I think, that's a wonderful point that you made, Angelo. We've got some great intel updates. We've got some great messaging. This group has come together in such a way that I never would have thought it would have since we had our first call together, Dane. From where we came just 3 weekends ago to now, it's just been amazing. I know we're running out of time and everybody's saying their goodbyes now. But Dane, I want you to close this off for the group. Maybe you can just say a couple quick words before we end the call.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. At PFC, we have had a general message for a long time, but moving forward in a way that actually gave people a sense of involvement and in an appropriate way that they could connect together and become a a valid part of making this change. We have told everybody that they should, go in, do their inner work, connect with their higher self, and learn the stuff that's on the website. And, that's all well and good. But for the leadership function that we've embraced at PFC, it is not adequate. You are tasked with people who volunteered to be leaders or to handle the leadership function, have been tasked with doing things, connecting with people, and presenting a story that is, well, for the people who are not aware of this, it's quite out there. They have been comfortable believing that we're alone in the universe. We have a large segment of well-educated people who have taken science as their God, who don't believe in God, don't have a spiritual connection, and we're the ones who have accepted responsibility to go out and inform these people about the change. And so it's not trivial. It's challenging, and everybody that's involved in making this commitment needs a sense of community. They need reassurance. They need resources. They need basically a plan that makes them feel like they are not alone. And this is what these leadership forums have come into existence to do. Actually, this is organic. We started off with a discussion, an intention to have a discussion about current events, and it turned into because people wanted this. They wanted to know about what they should do, what happens when the event happens, how do they operate in their communities, how do they connect to global resources that are coming out, how do they actually have a sense that they have a handle on it that is real. And this is what what our objective is here. I mean, it's a big job, and it has sprung up because it's needed, not because we had some grand plan, that's in the beginning of October. It just didn't happen that way. It happened because we came out with a meeting, and this is what people wanted. And so we moved forward with that. Everybody wants to talk about it, but this group wants to learn and prepare for action, and that's a big difference. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. We have a volunteers meeting if you want to join that. It starts in about 5 minutes or less than that. I'll be hosting that as well. It's our normal volunteers forum or assembly, and it's more of a social environment where we talk about why we're involved in this and look at ways we can help. There are a lot of things we can do. Not all of them are associated with this leadership function, so I invite everybody. If you want to participate in that, you just go to the website under the volunteers tab, and you look where it says Volunteers Assembly. There's a link that opens up in the meeting. So if you want to join that, feel free to do that. It's something we've been doing since August, and there's a good core community involved there who are available to help with things as we go forward. So again, thank you. And participate in the volunteers meeting if you want. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dane. Mm-hmm. So I'll close off with, again, thanking everyone for coming here and joining our organizational call for the PFC. It's wonderful that we have leaders to step up to volunteer, to host and co-host in the same format that we're doing worldwide to disseminate the information that we need to on PFC. It's just wonderful. The group dynamics is very loving. I feel so energized after this call, even though it's only 3 a.m. here. But I really, aside from being up late, I really feel that, we're doing something that's making a difference by gathering together. And I hope that we continue to. Our next meeting update, I'm preparing a couple of resource speakers, Dane. One of the topics that came up was how do we keep ourselves sustainable during the event. So I have a resource speaker to give some ideas on how to do some things at home for yourself. She's a single mom here in the Philippines, and she does some activities, and her business is becoming more and more successful. I think as light workers, there are going to be activities that we do for ourselves and for others that will help us sustain. So I think it's important to have that highlighted. Also, I'm putting together a couple of other speakers and trying to coordinate with them on that. But if you'd like to be a resource speaker for our next worldwide leadership forum, we're planning to do a how to handle objections, kind of more of a dynamic. How do you deal with somebody who's hostile towards the ideas that center around in the concepts in PFC? I think that was the next thing that we wanted to do as well. So look out for the next newsletter. Dane, when will be the next call? Would it be the following week?
Yeah, we're going to the leadership programs with presentation speakers in a much more structured environment are going to be every 2 weeks. And so we'll have another one next week, and then right before Christmas. Then we'll skip Christmas, because I think that everywhere in the world, the solstice, time around the winter solstice, is a traditional holiday time, and we need to respect that. We'll have emails. We can have more private meetings, but I don't want to, have a formal meeting of the leadership forum during that time. We probably need to decide on when we're going to renew this. I mean, for all we know, the event, the reset and everything could happen, while we're meeting next week or week after. And so I don't know if the reset and the event are going to be fused the way that we had originally expected, but the mass arrests and the reset are fused, and full disclosure is probably going to come later, and then the actual compression breakthrough. We may have the compression breakthrough during the reset, because that is something the Pleiadians are in control of.
I have a timeline for the activities. Researching all the documents and the statements of work. I have created it, I'll share.
Okay.
Please do share that. So, yes, keep your calendars marked, everybody, for the upcoming next worldwide leadership call. We look forward to the kickoff of the regional calls. Hopefully, within the next 30 days, they can begin. And I'm really excited. Maybe we can have our first rollback of the regional calls and have the actual hosts highlight some of their findings from the regional calls on their successes in preparing for change, and by January, hopefully maybe February. But we want to move fast, and we want to move swift, as Dana is mentioning, everyone. So with that in mind, let's continue to work in the light, and victory to the light, everybody. Thank you for joining today's call.
Victory of the light. Namaste to everyone.
Okay.
Thank you,
thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dane, for organizing this. You have a great volunteers call. Those who'd like to stay, please help Dane with the volunteers call for the PFC movement. Appreciate if you join that as well. And again, thank you for all the volunteers, and for everyone encouraging the volunteers, and for helping me out in the chat room, and everybody who was very positive with energy and love. Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day. Have a great night wherever you're at in this world.